Hello again. Yeah, one of the little ones woke up like half an hour early last time. I wasn't expecting that, but you know, such things happen. Sometimes stuff gets cut short. Such is life. Sometimes stuff gets cut short. Exactly. So random note, nothing to do with games here, but dude, friggin' been listening to the same thing on repeat over and over and over. Somehow, when I was looking through the last Blind Guardian album, completely missed the very last song. I don't know how that happened, but oh my god, it's so good. I swear, like, since yesterday I must have listened to it 30 plus times, and it's still amazing. Which is weird, like, the entire... You know what, honestly, the entire album, if they made the next Tactics Ogre based off that, dude, that would be something. So, the entire thing is like... I don't even describe it. It's like some weird trans-dimensional war or some crap. It's a little hard to make sense of. Like, every one of their albums has some sort of theme to it, like some sort of overarching story and whatever. But in that case, yeah, it's they apparently wrote their own that time. Like, they've had ones based off, like, Lord of the Rings and whatnot. They've had ones based off of a few different, like, just miscellaneous myths and stuff, and Arthurian myths at some point and stuff like that. But yeah, that one, I think that was the first one they did that they just, like, flat out wrote their own. I think. If you haven't seen it before, just look up Beyond the Red Mirror. That's the one I'm talking about. But yeah, there's 3 bits in particular on there that just... I don't know if it's actually the narrative they were going for, but I just always had this thing in my head of just this big old, like, trans-dimensional friggin' siege going on, and then, you know, with that Edge of Time thing, it's just basically... Okay, so it starts off with one of the songs where basically everything's just gone completely south for whoever the presumed better side of that whole thing would be. They're basically getting invaded and whatever. And the way that I understood it is just basically a crazy guy rambling as he's basically going through PTSD or whatever. Like, okay, this crap's all crazy and stuff. I guess it's just kind of like a parade or whatever. So that's the way I understood that one. Maybe it's something completely different. Who knows? But yeah, that one's Grand Parade, and then they have another one that's Ninth Wave, which is... if you ever want something amazing, go play War Thunder with that looping in the background. You're welcome. It works weirdly well, and I think it's partially because of the airplane sounds in that song. But yeah, no, it's... how does that... It's weird because it feels like each of those songs is like different sides of that same conflict. Of like, one of them's on the losing side, one of them's on the winning side. Like, Grand Parade would be on the losing side, Ninth Wave would be on the winning side, kind of thing. It's unclear, at least as far as I can tell. And then, yeah, at some point, whatever the resident deities were of this particular place, they basically got shoved in some parallel universe or whatever. And that's what that last song's about. Like, some guys wandering along, like, where the hell did they put the door to this stupid thing? You know, we kind of need those things to not be super oppressed all the time. Kind of sucks. So, you know, guy's just going around looking for that thing and can't really figure out where he's going, and then it just finally, like, ends with, like, oh, and then they just came back, and the song kind of ends on that stuff. But no, I'm doing it absolutely no justice whatsoever. Just go frickin' listen to it. It's just At the Edge of Times, that one. So good. But yeah, if you're wondering what a few of the items were named after in this mod, yeah, Blind Guardian songs. So Mordred's song was one of them. That's one of the daggers. The Blind Guardian hat, as in I believe that's the best magnet hat, if I recall correctly, or that might be the reflecting hat. I'm not sure. One of them. But it's one of the caster hats, and I want to say there was another one, but I'm blanking on that right now. Because I tend to blank on things pretty much the majority of the time. But, yeah, I do a lot of blanking. Hmm. Alright, so what else? You know, elevation mechanics, right? It seems like a weird jump here. But okay. So, been going through, as per usual, just a wide library of different strategy things recently. And yeah, so elevation stuff. Like in this one, it always only seems to matter, you know, if they've got direct line of sight, and then wherever somebody got hit, they just got hit there. The other stuff doesn't particularly matter too much. But so yeah, been going through Equilibrium lately, and I'm really appreciating the whole fact that different stances between your different units actually affect line of sight differently. It doesn't get used nearly enough. Actually, that's one of those things that I kind of wish got used a little more in, you know, general XCOM likes and stuff like that. Just because, you know, in a lot of cases they end up either having shots that they shouldn't or not having shots that they should. Like, for example, you know, a run from the other day, I had a guy that basically ended up getting one-shotted across the map because even though he was ducking behind a low wall, somebody was still able to hit him from below because line of sight didn't actually count for that. It was a little bit frustrating when that happened. But, you know, stuff as it goes. But yeah, so he's there behind a wall. Technically, they shouldn't have had any sight on him, but it basically just counted him as being in that tile, and only counted the guy crouching as something that assists his defense bonus and accuracy, but not necessarily changing the line of sight. And it's funny because it was actually a really important mechanic in Silent Storm, which is one that really just one of those unsung ones that needs to be, I don't want to say remade, but somebody needs to take that formula and roll with it. Actually, I guess in many ways, it's very similar to the Fallout Tactics there. Actually, the system in many ways is similar. I almost would kind of say that it's that Silent Storm is almost like a follow-up to that in some ways. So, if you haven't seen it, and odds are you probably haven't, because the hell has seen this thing. It's like a World War II kind of spy strategy game of sorts. You've got your like different agents or whatever, and as far as what they do and whatnot, the best example of how everything functions and feels and everything is just go watch Inglourious Bastards. If you want a game that lets you do that, there you go. Like, minus the whole morality thing, because it's funny because actually both sides are pretty much teaming up against this other crazy dude, pretty much. And also you get mechs at one point. I know, Inglourious Bastards with mechs as a game, and it didn't get very popular about that. So, its big draw wasn't its setting or anything. Setting has been done before, the story and voices and whatever else weren't anything particularly amazing. Though it was pretty cool that the narrative would actually change based on how well you succeeded on different things. Like if you go into a place and you do really well and you manage to capture a certain person or whatever, and or some documents they had or something like that before they can get away, or preventing the place from getting destroyed, or saving this, that, or the other, or not doing that. You'd end up having different outcomes to everything. One particularly frustrating one is actually this one where you have an opportunity to ambush a guy, and he basically just takes the opportunity to ambush you instead. So you basically get there, your guy walks up and like, oh, here on the orders of this organization here. So basically give up your everything, and we're taking you in pretty much. Which the guy basically responds to pulling out a bunch of snipers all over the roof, basically getting a bunch of free shots and a free turn, and then running off, and then you basically have a pretty much impossible amount of time to go up and capture the guy. And when I'm saying impossible, I mean like, aside from massive saves coming, I don't know how that would possibly work at all. it's technically possible. Like, I've seen somebody do it, but it's it's harsh. Let's just say it's harsh. Because yeah, they have this system in there where every shot that somebody takes, or every hit, or every time they fall down or something, everything does something or other. So for example, most of the time, I guess they were trying to be nice, but the sniper guy that gets his free shots off ends up going and taking a shot at your leader's feet. And, you know, whether he's actually being nice, whether he's just a crap shot, who knows. But that usually means that they're going to be hobbled, so they won't be able to... It's not actually called hobbled, they just basically take a leg injury, and it needs to be, you know... It's to have a certain amount of time to be healed, or the right items need to be used by the right classes, using the right equipment, whatever. So... It's one of these things where there's a lot of different status effects going on. Like, if somebody takes a knock to the head, they may be blind for a while, or, you know, if they end up falling down, they end up just stunned for a bit, or, you know, they might bust up their arm or something. So there's this constantly evolving injury system. And it's weird because there's constantly debris flying around all over the place, because they also have a pretty advanced physics system for that one. So, like, for example... one example I was bringing up earlier in the Discord is, like, if you have somebody with a light machine gun, for example, and they get snuck up on by a guy, but that guy didn't get to take his turn yet, they basically just turn around and just, like, the guy gets hit by all these shots, goes flying through walls, you know, each shot rips a chunk out of the wall and stuff like that. It's so visceral and amazing. I love it. So I will say that at times it's needlessly difficult, because it's one of these ones that really needed a rebalance but never really got it, because just the community wasn't there. Like, it didn't exactly get advertised terribly well. It's kind of like a little bit of a cult status of sorts, but there was never really enough of a community to fix a lot of its more obvious flaws. Like, for example, partway through, you get mechs. They're basically just like clunky Ironman suits, more or less. Like giant feet. They're these little, like, just walking trash cans of sorts with different weapons on them. And yeah, so in the first one, they just clunk around and they're functionally invincible to just about anything, really. Like, somebody might get hit in a limb or whatever else, and they still might end up getting a mild injury, but they're still physically going to be fine. You know, they took an injury, they didn't take any real health damage or whatever else. Funny how that works. But, sorry, I keep doing that in order to try to figure out whether I can make any use of Berserk here. But okay, so they have, they're functionally invincible. Honestly, by the very end, there's really no reason not to just pack all of your guys into these suits, because you probably have captured a full party's worth of them at that point. And yeah, there's really no reason not to spam the hell out of them, because they have no downsides at all. And then you get to the second one, and they actually fixed their whole armor system on these things. So, you know, stuff can actually get through the armor gaps, because they've got some pretty obvious gaps. You know, stuff can get through the gaps, stuff can just pierce some of the crappier armor on it. They end up having a wider variety of them, doing a variety of different functions. But, you know, in general, they're not invincible anymore. Because, like I said earlier, it's basically like just a walking trash can. It's not fully covered or whatever else, so that wouldn't necessarily apply. Good lord, it is dry out. Yeah, sorry for all the throat clearing, though. It's just dry as hell. I thought we're going. Yeah, this run's going a lot better than the first one, huh? They're actually competent, because I haven't switched their classes around 50 billion times. Okay, but yeah, so it's got that whole thing going on. I got some of the most ridiculous set pieces I've ever seen in a strategy game too. Like there's this one bit where it's pretty much a defense of the base that you've been using the entire time, and like you basically get your own little personal army or whatever, and up to that point you've literally just been using 6 dudes, and suddenly they're like, yeah, we have a crap ton of them lying around actually. So you have all those around, you have a bunch of like mech suits and stuff showing up, you have a bunch of them attacking from the other side, and into this massive brawl, which is really when it shines. Like it tries to do a whole lot of stealth stuff and everything else, but when stuff gets absolutely ridiculous, and this is actually going back to that whole sightlines thing, like, for example, one thing I did on one of the runs on it was, there was this... sorry. Jeez. There was this little pistol that the leader could start with. No rinky-dink little thing, but it took almost no points to use it. So we just kind of keep that around in his back pocket for whenever I needed to just punch a hole in something to actually put a rifle through it. And, like, that strategy actually worked a lot better than I would have expected. Like, you'd think that there would be a problem with that, but no, it basically just... all the physics in there are exact to the point of just, like, everything directly interacts. It's really impressive, I gotta say. So, anyhow. I guess the main takeaway of the whole thing is it's really good, and maybe Rake should go rebalance it. Because he makes everything better. Yeah, there we go. Not enough challenge with this mod already. You gotta make it even more challenging. Actually, I think there are, like, mod tools and stuff for that, too. It's just, it's so unsupported at this point. Like, to give you an idea of how unsupported this thing is, I say this thing, even though it's two separate and completely differently functioning games, but, like, it's got absolutely no support whatsoever for it in terms of there's no official, like, dev support. The devs are long gone. There's no I don't believe the mod community is alive much anymore. The thing actually requires downgrading your PC just to run. You basically have to limit your graphics card, I think it was. I don't know, I just have a little button for doing it, but you basically have to limit what your PC can even do in order for it to even run at all, because it's got this weird thing to it, where apparently newer graphics cards and whatnot, whenever it tries to detect them, they're like, nope, you can't run, you don't have the minimum requirements, despite the fact that you've got like 14 times the minimum requirements. So, there's that. And that's like... I would definitely recommend trying it. It's one of those unique things that honestly right now, I'm thinking the closest I've actually seen to it is this Fallout rebalance, so be excited about that one. Like, it doesn't have the same terrain destruction or whatnot, which I guess in that respect, then it would be something more like Xenonauts to fill that role. But yeah, like a beautiful chaos. That's always good to see when that happens. Alright, so there needs to be evacuated. Oops. What did I just do? Okay. Overall, much better than last time. There's taken on harassment. But I would have liked her to go and do some more poisoning, but it's fine as it is. She's the resident Russian, I guess, since that's been a thing lately. And I'm actually a little bit surprised that they're getting away with so much. Like, at this point, when the entire world is pretty much announcing, like, yeah, we know Russia's doing all this stuff. Basically confirmed they're going around poisoning folks. and the best that they can really do is like an angry rebuke. Seems flaccid. I guess it is a freaking global superpower, but still, you know? Weird. It feels weird. Like, there's so much stuff going on in the world lately that, that just feels out of place. Like, just a bunch of stuff that seemed like it couldn't possibly happen is happening. That's not ideal. Go, ruinate. But oh well, you know, maybe given time, the craziness will pass and stuff can go back to being normal and progressive. The whole Chaos project didn't exactly work out. Although, hearing about the Italian elections was pretty hilarious. Apparently there's some guy that did so much nefarious crap that they just pretty much banned him from public office for a while. Why not permanently, I don't really know. This is like, apparently he was basically going to jail or something for underage prostitutes and doing all kinds of crazy cult stuff. He did like this whole cult personality to himself. And, yeah, jacked up stuff with that guy. Apparently even had spent a whole bunch of money to build a volcano inside his house. Don't know why, but guess whatever floats their metaphorical boat? But, yeah, apparently that guy just sort of came back from his surprisingly tiny exile of like 3 years or so, like that. And basically just went around potentially having the option of picking their next president because of some weird political situation. It's odd. It's very odd. Not even going to pretend that I completely understand it, because I have no clue how all that even lines up. That's been the running theme worldwide. Like, we don't know how it happened. It's happening anyway, though. Ooh, that is some nifty type damage. Here. So if we get a good poison tick, that's the end of that. That might be the end of that. Turn's coming up. I haven't seen any poison ticks for a while, so... What? Even? No, I think it faded. Help! Gotta land another one on him. Way the archers are... Would have liked to do a little bit better on the Chaos frame here, but whatever. Or no, he is still poisoned. That time, he actually didn't die at a traitor's hands, so that's fine. That seems like a lot of runs I end up going and recruiting one of his knights and offing him with that one. Weird coincidence. I don't know how the fencers don't have 12 yet. Fine. Yeah, Folkert, you're gonna lose that helmet soon. He lost his helmet. He just melted down his helmet and gave himself more shoulder armor. Sir, you appear to have forgotten a very important thing. Better. Curious, I want that, so take this. You get curious. Be all evasive like. And yeah, I know, two-handed spears are supposedly better and whatever else. I just really like doing the whole evasive one-hander build, okay? Jeez. Yeah, now's about the time. Over. Now, do I want might be an idea to just have one Dragoon, actually. I can just have him up front here and not have to... You know what? No, two are... I think two are better. Then their levels up nicer. Then again, I also might just do Voltaire as one of them. You're using Spirit, right? Yeah. And then once Volker joins permanently, have him become one. I think that's what I'm gonna do. That way we just have lots of proper helmets. Even though the Dragoons look pretty darn. Here. Things. Here we are. Do Ogre right. I just figure he's already got it anyways. Well, here, and he's gonna get Fill Light once that becomes available. They still have that, right? I think they do. We'll see. We'll see. At any rate, that's that. And yeah, I'll see you next time then.